You're listening to The Parallel Paths, a podcast designed to elevate your mind, body, and spirit so that you can get everything you want out of life. The only question is, are you ready? Welcome back to the Parallel Paths podcast. I'm your co-host, Makita Moore.
And I'm your other co-host, Blair McClendon.
And we're back again. And this week we are talking about the difference between spirituality and religion. So, just to define what religion is, because I identify as spiritual, and Blair.
Yeah, I identify as a spiritual being.
Right. So we're gonna try not to be biased through this, and everything that we share in this podcast, just like all of our other episodes, these are our own personal opinions from our own personal practice. So not just all the theory things we read, but things that we practice, which might be different than what you practice, what you believe. And that doesn't mean what you practice or believe, what we practice or believe is wrong. Everyone kind of has their own formula. And that's kind of why we're spiritual, because we realize that everybody has their own formula. So, by definition, religion is, and this is from Wikipedia, religion is a social cultural system of designated behaviors and practices, morals, worldviews, texts, sanctified places, prophecies, ethics, or organizations that relates to humanity, that relates humanity to supernatural, transcendental, or spiritual elements. Now, just by reading that definition, some things that I already want to challenge. But, so that's what religion is, basically, like this set of behaviors, belief, practices, things. And earlier, Blair was speaking to me about this, on how it's often derived from one person or a collective people who have written a system.
Yeah, religion is, in my opinion, is following the thoughts and beliefs of someone who came prior to. For right or for wrong, it's taking their word for it. So, as with anything else, I question everything. So, when I come to find out how to read the Bible in certain ways, and I figure out what it's speaking to, and it's not necessarily an external thing, then it definitely makes me want to be more of a spiritual person, like just in that sense alone, because of how I was misled personally.
So when you said it's less of a external thing, what do you mean by that? And then tie it into how you would define spirituality.
So like, at least when I was growing up, I grew up in the church, deep South. We would go to, it was a full gospel Baptist church. My grandma went to AME. So yeah, growing up in the Black church, but it's just more so like how, at least it was perceived to me, it's just like we're worshiping this external figure that's going to come out of the sky and save everybody in our time of demise. So fast forwarding to now, it's a little, I guess it's a little bit different based on my experience because I've seen it for what it is. But just growing up that way, it definitely had me jaded for a minute.
Mm-hmm. And I grew up first attending a AME church. Then we moved on to, I think, like a Church of God. And then we ended up at a non-denominational church. And it was like most kids, we were attending because our parents says what we do on Sunday. My dad actually didn't go to church that often though. Like when my parents were married, like my dad wouldn't go. He would read the Bible. Okay. So I'm starting to wonder if that's where I was getting more of my spiritual, because I saw him like not saying, I don't have to go to this place to worship and, things like that. So maybe his kind of free thought kind of sparked my own free thought when I did start my more spiritual journey. And I'll define spirituality based off of experience. I feel like religion, you believe it off of what somebody told you and what you're reading. It's almost like theoretical. versus spirituality, to me, I define as the only way to get the answers is to experience it yourself. You talked about the external spirituality. It talks more about going internal and realizing that the creator, all the power, God is within. The creator is within, which gives you a level of independence that as an individual that I think religion kind of prevents you from having that individual power where we're having to feel like if I don't behave this way, then I'm not going to be loved, or I have to, have to ask for forgiveness, or there's a certain way for me to live in this box, and if I go outside of that box, then I'm going to be punished.
Yeah, and that for me, that's one of the disconnects. It was just more so it's a fear-based program too. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, if you don't do this, you're going to hell, or if you don't live like this, you're going to hell. Like, no, you're not. So for me, it was just, again, challenging. Like, I'm going to challenge everything. I'm going to question everything. So it just never really resonated with me. And like you said, being a kid, and that's the norm because that's what your parents do. My dad was always, at least to me in my eyes at that point, like kind of on the fence. He was like, I can go, but I can also stay home. Like, I don't have to go. And so I also noticed from an early age, I'm like, just because, let's say in praise and worship, for instance, you get people who get up and they're shouting and they're dancing in the aisles and stuff like that. That just wasn't me, but that's not saying that I'm still not praising in my own way. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if I want to just sit down and I'm enjoying the music, you can still praise and it be okay. You don't have to.
I used to get in trouble for sitting down.
Yeah, so like, I mean, that was really where I started being like, well, if I can praise in my own way, why do I have to actually go to this building on a Sunday at this set time to always be plugged in or always feel like I'm connected? So like, based on the fear basis, like, all right, if you do this, you get this outcome. So I'm like, all right, if I don't go to church, am I still going to be protected, covered, blessed, whatever? Yeah, still covered and blessed. So I'm like, all right, it doesn't necessarily have to do with anything with me going to a physical location. Especially as I got older, I started deviating and doing my own thing.
So as you got older, at what point what age did you start to drift away from the church?
Easily college, because that's when you get some freedom. So I would go every now and then, like,
just because we were told that we were supposed to.
Yeah, right? Every now and then, like every blue moon. And it was like a non-denominational church in Gainesville I would go to. And I mean, it was cool, but I don't know. Again, it's just almost like you just living this life of like walking on eggshells. Like, I don't know. I'm way too much of me being an only child. Like, I'm gonna do my own thing anyway. Mm-hmm. So again, I question, I look up stuff, and then for me, it really came to like, what were my ancestors doing? Because I also understand the history of this country. So 400 years prior to this, you're not looking at the same religion being practiced here. So what were the people doing prior to Christopher Columbus? Let's just say it that way. Mm-hmm. So when I started doing my ancestral history, that's when I was really like, okay, the spiritual ties and the signs and stuff that I was getting at the time, I'm like, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then again, fast forward into now, but that's really how I got behind the spiritual aspect.
And I think like where you talked about the signs and things like that, that's one of the beauties that I love about spirituality. It teaches you how to see the world differently. So like with religion, it's this house, these certain behaviors make you in tune. Your relationship is because you go to this house, you pay your tithes and offerings, you eat this bread and drink this wine. It's supposed to symbolize skin and blood, which is weird in itself. Versus spirituality, where everything is a spiritual practice. When you sit down to eat your meal and you're appreciating the plants and the animals, and also realizing that your body is a temple, which they talk about in religion. But in religion too, we got, and that was one of the reasons why we left one of the churches here, was because the preacher was getting up there talking about Popeyes and chicken. I'm like, how can you truly be telling people to respect their temple, but then encourage, and then we have a cookout and there's hot dogs, and it's like, I understand meeting people where they're at, but also like, if you're truly a person of God and you truly care nothing but the upliftment of your people, then you have to be an example, right? You have to be the one leading them to a cleaner, healthier life, right? You can't have a connection with God if your brain is everything is so muddled with trash. And I think it was through, for me, like, I went to church all through, while I was living at home with my parents. And then when I went away to college, our volleyball team, we would go to church, different types of churches each week. And then when I got to grad school, I found a couple churches here. And then that's where the evolution began. I was dating a guy at the time, and we did this evolution together, to where and this was our personal journey of evolution. Mm-hmm. It started off with us going back into the church and, going to Bible study, waking up at like 7 a.m., going to Bible study, getting baptized, deciding we're gonna be celibate because we were like, we're gonna get married, so we can't have sex. And that was just funny in itself. Like, there were just so many funny things that happened with that. To us then realizing the things that the preacher was talking about just weren't where we were at. Like, we felt like it wasn't going to take us where we needed to go. So then we went to this other church, a predominantly white church, where they taught more on life skills, like practical life skills. And I was like, oh, okay, this is relevant. And it wasn't a lot of condemning other religions or condemning other types of people, anything like that. It just all seemed out of love, and this is how you live your life as a great person day to day to day. It wasn't so reading out the Bible either. And from there, eventually we left the church because it was like, we can do this on our own. Like, I think because that church, they weren't so heavy in the Bible, it allowed us to realize we can take from the Bible different tools, and also taught us how to see the Bible for what it was. Like, it's
a powerful tool if you know how to read it.
Yeah.
And like, that's part of the thing with pastors, preachers, whatever. I just feel like the congregation or whatever puts so much faith in this one person who is not perfect himself.
Right.
So it's like, this person who's telling you how you should live isn't even living necessarily always the proper way.
And that's the thing, most of them, like, what do they call it? The priests and
yeah. I was gonna touch on that, but I mean, like, terrible. Some of the most just absurd crimes are committed by these people in places of power behind these religions. And so I'm like, I'm not following that. So again, like you said, it's coming to the understanding, like, everything is connected. Everything is a spiritual practice in itself. So realizing that, it's like, all right, I really am in control of it's a higher power getting all of this stuff done, but I am actually the one in tune and connected with it. And it's up to me. Thing. Yeah, it's up to me to practice that maintenance and that clearing of that channel, so I can get those downloads and that communication on what I need to do intuitively.
So so clearing that channel to be able to receive. Speak on that, because I think it wasn't until I started doing that I more so started understanding why people catch the Holy Spirit more so. But what do you mean by, like, creating that channel?
So at least for me, like, I've definitely done a lot more energy work as far as like breath and just even with moving the body, with doing yoga. So after loosening up my body and becoming a lot more flexible, like, I pretty much do everything except a split, which I'm not trying to do. but like, being able to, like, just bend backwards per se, or fold your body a certain way, and like, once you hang in that position, like, the energy flows. And so once you invert it or you flip it in the opposite direction, like, this energy is just flowing and your channels have been open. So I could definitely see how somebody, especially raising your hands and stuff like that, like, it's it's certain positions of power that we subconsciously do on a daily basis. You don't even notice you're channeling energy, but if you do it in the right way, the energy flows and you can feel it. Mm-hmm. So,
and it's again, it emphasizes the power of thought. You believe so much in these things that you experience in them, and realizing that it's through your thought that you are allowing yourself to become more aware of stuff, or you're creating stuff that's not even there. And one of my biggest beefs with the Christian religion was that we put this person named Jesus, that I don't know if it's a real person or not, because the Bible's full of metaphors.
Facts, you really don't know.
So you don't know what is real or not. However, I acknowledge Jesus. I can see Jesus being a person, being a real life person, because from the things I've seen people do, these Buddhist masters and all these masters, all but like the things that they can do, moving stuff, like being able to work with energy, being able to heal and all this stuff. I know all of it is possible. So I definitely see him as an example. But what my beef is with religion is that we put him on the pedestal that only because he was the son of God, he can do all these things, which makes us not believe that we can do them too. But there's so many things that we can do. And they don't teach people in the church how to tap into your power that you are given. That's my biggest beef.
That was one of mine. And I know I've talked to my parents about it, but it's just like, all right, let's say you've been going to this church since you were 5 years old, and now you're 25. Looking around at the other people who've been going to church with you, how have your lives improved? Like, are you truly manifesting the stuff that you want to manifest? Like, if, like, let's say you wanted a new job and you've been stuck in the same job for 10 years, like, but that's something you've been praying about in church, and like you've been doing all you can, but it's like, well, dang, why is it not working? So for me, it's no different than you going to school and you're a teacher or you're a professor. To me, the success of that teacher depends on how their class does. So in a religious setting, how is my flock doing? How is the people who I'm supposed to be serving, like, how are they improving their lives? Are they truly improving their lives? Are they healthy? Are they taken care of financially? All of these things to me need to be areas that are addressed, but they're not. It's more so just like, here's my collection plate. Appreciate you. Mm-hmm. So like, even with the tithing thing, like, I understand giving 10% back. At least how I interpret it is to source, whether that be donating your time, whether that be a portion of money, but it doesn't necessarily have to be to a church. Like, it could be you giving 10% to somebody in need. Like, you're still tithing, you're still charitable. So again, reading the book and being able to decipher like the hidden messages in there, I think. Yeah. And like you said, it's a lot of metaphors. It's not literal.
And that's the thing is the Bible has all the knowledge of, like, it talks about the power of your words and things like that, and respecting
in the temple. Beginning, there was the word.
Right.
They literally tell you that.
But like, the people who teach it,
the people who
they
teach
don't
you not telling you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, okay. So you spoke about like tithing and finances and what's a mark of your progress. I think another thing in religion is a difference between religion and spirituality is, this abundance mindset, like having a lot of money. How do you feel? What is your perspective on that?
You're definitely not programmed to think like you always have your needs met. It's I've never heard anybody from that segment like kind of program it into the people who they're teaching to like have this abundance mindset or have this prosperous mindset. It's never that. So again, doing individual work and work on myself, I've come to find out, like, I mean, your thoughts definitely do create your reality in a sense, at least with mine do. So being able to break free from some of those lower vibrational thoughts, like, oh man, I can't afford this, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. It's always on the negative side. It's always on the pessimistic side. But at least me, from taking on a more spiritual journey, you might not always feel positive, but I'm always at least in that positive thought vibration. Like I'm not letting myself succumb to those lower vibrations or devilish thoughts.
And also because you're not afraid of them, because you're full, you allow yourself to fully encompass your human experience to where you don't have to hide or condemn any part of you. And that's what, like religion, it says certain parts of the devil was bad, but to us everything is energy. So there's yin and the yang, so nothing's inherently good or bad. It's just that, and we don't have to live in that little square of, oh, I can't step over there. No, step over there. There might be something for you to learn over there that you can bring back that might make you more sure about where you're at on this side.
And I agree. One more thing that religion made me feel like was just even more judgmental. Again, it goes back to the good and bad. Everything has to have a good and a bad, and it's like it really doesn't. Like life itself is just is. Like everything doesn't have to be judged. Like you don't have to judge somebody based on the hat that they wear to church, or, oh girl, can you believe what she wore today? Like who cares, bro? Like this person is literally trying to better themselves, but you worried about what they got on or whatever. Like I've always found it to be a messier place. Like I don't know. It just
yeah. And this isn't a religion bash, right?
Yeah,
there definitely are some benefits of religion, because I feel like for a lot of people, they need that structure. Yeah, they need that structure until they can begin to think more independently, you know, and live less fearfully. Like, you know, religion, fear is used as a tool to make you be obedient. And I don't want to have any fear. Like I'm not going to fear my creator. To me, in spirituality, what I know is that God is love. So no matter what I do, I'm always loved no matter what. And they talk about that in religion. But they also talk about asking for forgiveness, you know, and repenting and doing all these things, making sacrifices, and they make God this ego thing. Like you have to satisfy me. You have to, you know, do these certain things. And I don't believe it, because like when something is truly purely love, it's not worried about what you're doing. It's just waiting for you to finally come.
It's not judging you.
It's
nothing. That's what I say. But like the Eastern religions, like Buddhism, Hinduism, like they're a lot more focused around like the peace and the love. At least the pieces that like I've seen, and like some of their deities. That's why like when you mentioned like you could see Jesus being a real person. It's no different than like you said a Buddha or somebody else. It's the level of consciousness. Like it's Christ consciousness, Jesus Christ
His last name is not
consciousness. Like it's their level of thinking. It's not. I mean, they're a regular person. It's just how they're thinking. So again, like the people who are preaching to me, you're not at that level of thinking. So like, I really don't care what you got to say. Like, it's got to be somebody who can truly get you there. And I mean, it's no different than even with entrepreneurship. They say never take the advice of somebody who's your equal. Take the advice of somebody who's at where you want to be. So, and at least in this particular instance, like it's almost like a yogi going to the Himalayas trying to find a master type of thing, like, or no different than like a master Yoda. Like, who is at that level that can truly pass down some knowledge? Like, then I'll be more receptive. But like to the everyday average Joe, no.
And when you think about like a lot of the revolutionaries, or I think about the Nation of Islam, they talk about like meditation and, you know,
never touched on in Christianity.
Yeah, I mean, there's prayer, which is, but it's more active, but it's not. It's more you being active versus you allowing that channel to open up and to receive that and true intelligence, which is what I define as that connection to God. Is when I meditate. I'm stopping the thought, all the programming. I'm not distracted by this world. I'm just allowing myself to be and opening that channel to receive. And every time I meditate, I'm always coming back with ideas, or just like when I'm in a positive state of mind where I'm not overthinking, I just constantly just get flooded with all these little moments of inspiration. And I would not be surprised if they did a poll to see who are the happiest people on earth, people who identified as spiritual versus people who identified as religious, what they would get. Because I'm as a spiritual person, I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Ever.
Yeah. I have no judgment against myself or anyone else. Like, I understand everybody has their own journey, and I give them that grace, and that all I have for them is love, in their journey.
And even with the religious journey, everybody has their own journey. So don't, again, I'm not bashing it, I'm not knocking it. I've been through it, but it's more so question everything. That's all I gotta say. Especially for people of color here in America who may have ancestors who were slaves, or see if that religion was forced on them. See what they were doing beforehand. So that was also,
and how it was used as a tool. Like, certain scriptures were used as a tool to make it seem like slavery was right, as if they were supposed to be in that position.
Look, man, do some research and holla at me.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I remember I used to feel bad about questioning certain things when I was in church. But why would I feel bad about something that was given to me? My curious mind was given to me by God. I'm supposed to be curious. I'm supposed to question things. We all are, especially me, because I do identify as I came here as somebody to serve and to lead. And in order to do that, you have to be an independent thinker. And, I felt bad about being an independent thinker, and like wondering about, the dinosaurs and how he parted the sea. And, we shouldn't feel bad about having questions about that, because why would you not? Like, why would you not? You never seen somebody do that in real life. So why would you not question, how someone parted the sea? Because I'm curious. I want to know. And then I think my red flag was people get so defensive. When you begin to question them, it's like, I'm just asking a question. It's just I'm just truly curious. Why is there a defense mechanism being thrown up?
That, and then it's above like the fear tactics, but it's a divide and conquer tactic. Like, now you've got people scattered throughout the world thinking that their God is the God, and it's like, or that worshiping somebody else is wrong or whatever. It's like, oh, Muslims are bad or whatever. Like, no, like, why are they bad just because of their beliefs?
So much hate is created out of religion.
Again, the judgment. So it's like, I'm judging this person based on how they feel or how they worship or how they look. Like, that's, again, a divide and conquer tactic. Like, you got to see beyond that. I don't think any religion is fully empowering you to embrace that power that you have within. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I said, there are some who at least touch on certain things a little bit deeper than how we're giving them here in the Bible Belt, per se.
And when you were talking about that, it made me think about how in Christianity, I remember the thing I used to be afraid of was, like, if you didn't fully accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, that meant you would go to hell.
You're going to hell. Oh my gosh, yes. Bro.
So then some people are trying to convince themselves that they believe in something that they don't really understand, and it just leads to so much confusion. And they have questions they want to ask, but then they're afraid to ask. It's just so much that is detrimental to the human psyche, and it's not freeing at all. And like I said, I do believe there are some benefits to it. It is a way to add some structure to a community, people who need that. But I feel like ultimately, if we truly want to become a place of pure love, it means that we need to release this whole religion thing and say that we all can believe whatever you want to believe. Just be a good person, and being a good person, we all know right from wrong. It doesn't mean doing this, doing that, dressing this way, dressing that way, kissing this person. You know what feels right, what feels wrong to you, because we all come from the same source, which is love. So whenever an action or thought deviates from love, you can sense it and you'll feel it. So we don't even need all these religions, if people would just follow that. And then other people held them accountable when they did do something that was blatantly wrong, which is, interfering with someone else's personal path and journey.
Again, minding your mental. Governing your mind.
Mm-hmm.
The mind is a truly beautiful place if you groom it to be that way. And so, like you said, having godly thoughts, like literally pruning your mind for nothing but beauty per se. Like hell is literally I mean, they talk about heaven on earth, hell on earth. Like it's in your mind. Like what are you manifesting? What are you creating? Are you creating a hellish place on earth? Or are you creating a place that's like heaven on earth? So like you said, it really doesn't matter what's going on the external. It's really about how you feel internally, and you having that connection with your higher self, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. But it starts with you. That's the thing that in all of this that we're talking about, it starts with you. So it's not about the external. Like even with somebody who is religious and going to church, it still starts with you. Like begins and ends.
And it's a moment by moment by moment practice, and it's not just I'm picking up my Bible, or I'm saying my prayers before I eat, or I'm going to church, and then all between that you're just living mindlessly.
It's wilding out the first 6 days, and then let's go to church on Sunday, and then that clears everything. No, it don't work like that. So,
and another thing, I think, while we are in the midst of such social unrest, where again it's coming to light all of the oppression that people of color experience here in America. When I was watching a debate by Dr. Khalid Muhammad, and I can't remember who he's debating. It was a white preacher about whether Jesus was black or white. And, again, this is another issue I have with religion, is that growing up in my head, God was a white man with a long beard, a long white beard in heaven. Jesus was a white man with brown hair. Sometimes he had blonde hair. He didn't look like me. Nobody in the Bible or the Bible stories ever looked like me.
For me, I always had the issue with no other religion, nowhere else, no Eastern religion. They're not debating on if Buddha was, a brown person or whatever. But now that this person who's been casted upon these people of color as the leader, he has a discrepancy as far as like people arguing whether he's one shade or another. To me, that's already a red flag. So I'm like, I can't really rock with it because y'all don't even know what this person's ethnicity is. And then looking at the historical facts, like, bro, if you see where he lived and came from, you would know what color he is without even it being an issue. But then you go in people's houses and, like you said, they have this white figure on their wall. I'm cool on it. Mm-hmm. So,
and that's again where everything in this world is designed to keep us mentally in these little blocks to where we don't have the high enough cognitive ability to question things like that, or we don't have the attention span to question something like that, to be like, wait a second, this just doesn't line up. Oh, it's Sunday, football Sunday, let's go, whatever. No, like there's just so many things that just aren't right that we are afraid to question. We don't have the cognitive ability to question because we're eating crap, listening to crap, just emotionally all out of whack. Yeah, there's just a lot.
Ooh, you said something with the eating. Like, who was I listening to the other day? But they were basically saying, like, of course you should listen to your gut. Like, that's your second brain. But if you just consume McDonald's and you fresh off a Big Mac, that's not your intuition. That's indigestion. So it definitely depends on what you put in your body and the clarity of your thoughts that's being produced from that. So that's, I always say, helping with health and wellness and coaching, but your diet is the foundation. Like everything you consume, like again, everything is a spiritual moment.
So let's talk about that. What are your if you had to think about your day, what are your spiritual practices? Which I'm almost everything, but what do you pinpoint at your spiritual practices?
For me, first thing in the morning, I need to move my body. I got to get my blood flowing. I got to start breathing right. So breathing exercises incorporated in with yoga, meditating. And again, the goal of meditation, not necessarily asking God or the universe for anything. It's simply just clearing my mind, like allowing the divine thoughts, like the good thoughts and stuff to flow in, the creative thoughts, all that stuff, being able to just have a clearer channel to flow through
before the stuff
before
the
the day starts.
Mm-hmm.
It don't even matter what's going on after. I need to get that done first. And then for me, actually, every meal is spiritual. So I had to start out with fruit in the morning. So that's an everyday thing. Smoothies. Start my body off right, using that energy for good detoxing, and then going to the gym. That's definitely spiritual for me. That's almost like doing yoga, but at least for me, as I learned how to control my breath and develop my breath, every rep is a breath in itself. So,
and you're learning how to explore edge of yourself. You're like growing, and oftentimes I used to always get like good visions and stuff when I was working out too.
Yeah, I'll get ideas sometimes, but also music. I'm a huge music person, so depending on my mood or how I'm feeling, I need to hear something in particular. Range of stuff. I like listening to a lot of stuff without words, because then again, I'm not being influenced by anybody else. So jazz, whether it be singing bowls, tuning forks, whatever, like just something therapeutic, something soothing. And then journaling too. I've been trying to get back into writing more. I think it's important to get your thoughts out. And every time I do start writing, stuff just keeps on flowing. So, I mean, it can be therapeutic, like if you're trying to release something or if you're trying to create something and you need to brainstorm an idea. It just depends on what direction you want to go, but it's beneficial either way. And then, of course, I mean, we talked about meditating, but like meditating on a thought too, not just to clear my mind, but meditating on an intention, on something that I do want to manifest. That's something too. So it just depends. But in my everyday staples, yoga, meditating, eating good, and listening to good music.
Yeah. I would say for mine, again, well, in the morning, I stopped saying it recently, but I used to always say it. I would say, I'm back. Like, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back in this world, ready to play. So just acknowledging that, I'm here again, another day. I would do my affirmations in the morning or listen to Abraham Hicks, who's one of my spiritual guides, I guess, or spiritual mentors, who talks a lot about the law of attraction and really tapping into source and how, using your emotions as your guide. Spiritual practices, it definitely comes down to what I do in my body. So eating high vibrational foods, which are fruits and vegetables, I really don't drink anything but water. And then if I have watermelon, then I'll drink the juice out of the watermelon. Yeah. Like that's what I had today. Like my first thing today was a cup of the water that had came out of the watermelon that I had. And getting sun, just like gazing at the sun, being present with especially being in nature. Like that's definitely a big spiritual practice for me. Just
you hit on 2 keys I missed. Mm-hmm. You hit on 2 keys I missed.
Yeah, just admiring the natural beauty, the essence of trees and everything. Let's see. Meditation, of course. Before meals, I always will thank the plants, the animals, or whatever went in. Well, not animals that much anymore, but the plants that went in and whatever hands went into creating the meal for me. I sage my house to clear out, negative energy.
I missed a lot of stuff. Yeah, for sure. Incense, sage, Palo Santo.
My crystals. I use my crystals.
Crystals, clearly.
Especially the other day, I did a meditation with, I had selenite. It's a crystal to like kind of cleanse and purify. And I did a meditation with that, and it was powerful. Just like feeling it and embodying it, I just felt so pure and clean and strong. Sex, definitely a spiritual practice. Definitely a spiritual practice. I've used that for like manifesting and healing and things like that. Hugging. I love to hug people. Hugging is a spiritual practice.
Everything.
That's the thing. Like
everything.
Like with religion, it stopped. It's like religion. It was reading the Bible, not having sex, going into this building
on Wednesday or Sunday,
right,
or whatever.
Spirituality is every single thing I do. Every moment by moment, I can look around. I appreciate. I see God in everything.
And that's what it is. It's remaining, I think, thankful in each moment too. Like really being grateful for right now. And that's one thing I wasn't getting with religion. So, like we alluded to, being happiest we've been up until this point in our life, other than childhood, it's been because of that spiritual mindset. So just being grateful, not necessarily being attached to all the things that's going on in the world. Like, yeah, you know what's going on, but then at the same time, you're still governing your mental. Like you're in control of your peace at the end of the day. So,
and giving yourself grace too, like, you know, not feeling like, oh, I did this, I fucked up. Like, you know, I had sex before, you know, I fucked up, I screwed up. No, like, give yourself grace. You came off your path, and you're always on the path.
You are the person who either pats yourself on the back or condemns yourself at the end of the day. So if you do something good, you should be celebrating those small victories, patting yourself on the back. And then if it's something that you want to improve on or that you feel less than for, like, don't beat yourself up over it. Like, there's literally nobody judging you but you. Mm-hmm. So it's up to you to release that weight and that burden before you move on to the next chapter. Will Smith even has that movie, 7 Pounds. It talks about your heart being as light as a feather when you leave. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the spiritual practices, at least for me, has helped me to feel lighter. Just, I'm not weighed down by so much stuff. Like, again, like you said, I'm feeling good 99% of the time for the most part. Like, after dealing with depression and like some different pain, and not even some different pain, hell of a lot of pain. Feel better than ever. Mm-hmm. So I can't complain.
Yeah, I think that reminds me of the concept in Buddhism called impermanence. And it's just like, you're not attached to anything, you know. It's basically, it's like being connected to everything, but not attached to anything. So, and this is like the interesting thing.
You're in the world, but not of it.
Right. And with impermanence, one of the conflicts I have sometimes with more religious people is that I'm not tied to anything. I can be loyal to you. But when we start to outgrow, it makes sense to me that we can go our other ways. And we don't, like, just because we dated doesn't mean we stay together. Just because we got married, even just because we got married doesn't mean we stay together forever and just sit here and be like this, you know? We're supposed to be able to move and be free in our own evolution. So, but yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, I definitely think people come in your life for reasons and for seasons. So, like, yeah. I mean, even if that person starts out, like you said, as somebody who you think is in it for the long run, but 10 years later, it turns out to be, well, it was just a 10-year season. It's okay to move on from that. Like, you're the person condemning yourself, per se. Like, you're not going to go to hell just because you separated from this person and you feel like you're breaking this oath to God. Like, the oath was to you. So, yeah, you might have broke it to yourself. But, like, again, that's where the forgiveness piece and all that stuff comes in. And so, I don't know. That's why, like, I mean, that's another topic for another day, but like marriage and just even how period society set up, like, I'm questioning it all. Like, I'm not taking something just a status quo because that's what was presented to me. I need to make that decision for myself and explore it for myself. So I would encourage you to do the same. Again, question everything, look stuff up. You need book recommendations, I got you. I know during my transition, one of the first, like, really eye-opening books for me was From Babylon to Timbuktu, and then the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Both of those talking about some ancestral ties and, like, even the basis of religion. So I would even challenge the people, no matter what your religion is or what you follow, where did your religion come from? Find out the source of that. All of these came from one. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, we talk about divide and conquer. It still came from one. And at the end of the day, if you can decode what those messages mean, it still talks about it being one. So,
and that's the thing. It's like there can only be one truth.
One truth.
So the fact that there are so many stories out there being told should incline you to go find that truth on your own. Like, to me, just it only makes sense for me to go explore that on my own, and then deem, what is, rather than feeling condemned for wanting to explore those other things. And I think one of the big things that I think we should all remember is that when it comes to heaven and hell, it's what you create. And it's not like a lot of us sit here and we suffer through life feeling like, oh, I'll just keep being obedient. I'll keep doing these things. And then when I die, I'll be in heaven and it'll be great. Please don't do that. Heaven is meant to be here on earth. You came here to create. You weren't created to suffer, live a life of mediocrity, only feeling better when you're distracting yourself with Netflix, drugs, sex, or your children, whatever it is. You were meant to live in abundance. You were created to live a beautiful life where you create rather than just consuming. And heaven is meant to be had here on earth. And also hell is meant to be had here on earth. And you're creating both of those. Why wait until you die when you really don't know what's going to happen when you die? Why wait till then to live a beautiful existence? Why not do it now when the only thing you know for sure what truly exists is the now?
And I think people take that for granted because every decision you make contributes to the world that you want to build. So if you're eating organic foods or if you're eating processed foods, you're contributing to how the planet is going to develop. Or if you're using plastic and you're very wasteful, you're contributing to how the planet is developing. So everything, again, being a spiritual practice, everything is connected. So the better you treat yourself, in tune you treat the planet. It's a cycle, and it just keeps going. So the better you want for yourself means the better that you want for everybody else, and you can't fill somebody else's cup until yours is full.
Yep. So, is there anything else you want to share with the people, Blair? I think we gave them a lot. Yeah. So that is our discussion on spirituality versus religion from two people who are spiritual. So if you want to hear the other side of it, hit up somebody who's more religious, because we're no longer in that.
I'm not debating about it again. Do the research. We can have a discussion. We ain't debating it though. Like this is coming from a place of knowing. It's not a place of thinking. So
yeah, you can only get certain results from actually going through it and experiencing it yourself. But as always, we would love to get your input. So feel free to comment. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe to the Parallel Paths podcast on YouTube, Anchor, other platforms coming soon. And we will see you all next week.
Peace.